Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's I, your Christmas Gringo, back again with another movie review. And as promised, yes, I just got out of Aquaman 2 in the Lost Kingdom about probably 2 hours ago, and I needed those 2 hours to process the monumental insult that I sat through, that I paid money for. And yeah, I get it. Tickets are cheaper down here in Mexico. I paid $10 for 3 tickets. It was still way too much money to pay for something like this. Now, I know that there are review embargoes and stuff like that for media outlets. Well, guess what? I'm not a media outlet. So for the first couple of minutes, I'll talk in generalities, and then I'll tell you where I'm going to spoil things for you. And yes, I'll get to Amber Heard in a minute. I know a lot of people are wait, what about Amber Heard and all that? Believe me, I'll get to Amber Heard. But there's some things I got to get to first. I'd like to start out with positives. First off, Black Manta, pretty cool villain. He was menacing. He was evil. The actor did, I think, a good job with the role of just being almost demonic. Well, actually demonic. He was one of the better parts of the movie. So whenever he was on screen doing whatever he was doing, I was entertained. I'll put it to you. That was entertaining. Patrick Wilson as Orm. I enjoyed his character. I enjoyed how he played him. I enjoyed the banter he had back and forth with Aquaman, which is one of the most enjoyable things in the movie is the banter that the two brothers have. It gets a little old after a bit, but it's enjoyable, and you can see that they're trying to have fun with it. Jason Momoa, I mean, he's Aquaman. He's having a blast doing the role. He plays him like a overzealous frat boy turned up to 12, never mind 11. But he's Aquaman. He's a two-dimensional character. He never really gets into that third dimension. It's a very plain character who Jason Momoa says, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to yell, scream, tell jokes. And then when I'm not supposed to do that, I'll look brooding. Okay, I get it. So it's not some monumental performance. He probably knew that it was the last time he was going to play Aquaman because this is the last film in the DCU before it gets rebooted by James Gunn. So he knew. And I think he just went in there going, I'm just going to do whatever it is I want to do with it. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be boisterous. And it works. He makes Aquaman enjoyable, which, Aquaman was never anybody's favorite superhero until Momoa took over the character. It is what it is. Nicole Kidman, Dolph Lundgren. I mean, Dolph Lundgren, he's not known as being a great actor. He's Dolph Lundgren playing, Aquaman's, stepfather or whatever they call him, or former king or whatever he is. He's Dolph Lundgren. You're going to get Dolph Lundgren. All right. So there's no surprise there. Nicole Kidman, Aquaman's mom. I think she forgot how to act. I remember she's won Oscars. I think, if I remember correctly, she's won an Oscar and she's done some great work, but it doesn't show here. Her lines are just delivered just without any intonation or tone or just emotion, or they're phoned in. That's the best way I could put it. She phoned that in. Some of the best scenes with Jason Momoa are with his dad. He is a father now, of course, himself, his baby. That was kind of fun in the beginning. You get to see some of that interaction between the baby and Papa Aquaman and the grandfather. It was heartwarming. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was like, oh, this is kind of cool to see and all that. Now, by the way, I get it. Some people were complaining that the baby pees on Aquaman, and I'll get to that in a second, because if you're upset about just the baby peeing on Aquaman, you're going to be really upset when I tell you what happens. The CGI, again, this is probably the heaviest CGI film I have ever seen in my entire life. 50% of it was really well done, and the other 50% of it, I think it was unfinished. A lot of the backgrounds, as I'm watching it, a lot of the backgrounds are CGI. I don't think they were CGI. They look like matte paintings. They look like just really bad paintings just draped in the background to give some sort of depth of field. And it just didn't work for me. Some of the CGI was blurry. Some of the CGI was just too up close or too fast. And it just was just the balls of lights just kind of flying all over the place. And so you really lose some of the action in that. Some of the CGI, brilliant. Some of the CGI was awesome. I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. Especially some of the underwater battles that I saw. And of course, some of the underwater battles just were, I was like, what's going on here? I don't know what's going on. So it's really, you got to pick and choose what you like and what you don't like out of the CGI, whether they ran out of money, ran out of time, or just stopped caring because it's the last film in the DCU. I can't tell you what their motivations were for putting out certain things and keeping certain things really well done and keeping certain things horribly done. I don't know their motivations. I just know the end product because I just watched it. As far as the story, the narrative, the writing, you could tell that there was probably a script at one point and it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then whatever happened between that beginning, middle, and end during filming, they chopped it up. This film is filled with exposition, with flashbacks, with explanation, with even explanations about what's going to happen in the future. And I'm like, well, don't tell me what's going to happen. Just show me what's going to happen. And I get it. Aquaman came out a while ago and people need to be reminded of that. But there's a lot of time spent on that, and it really drags down the movie. It really slows down the movie. You're kind of like, okay, when's this movie going to get started? And I guess I'm already getting into the negative, so let me slow down here first. What did I like about the film? There was a couple of battle scenes, fight scenes, Momoa or Aquaman and Black Manta, and Aquaman, Black Manta, and Orm all fighting it out, and they were cool. The choreography, the martial arts, the bow staff type fighting with the tridents, that looked really cool. That was really enjoyable. I'm like, okay, some energy. But again, I think that's where my positive thoughts on this movie end. So let's get into the big negatives of this movie. I'm going to start out with Amber Heard. Now, some of you out there are like, well, we don't care about Amber Heard. Doesn't bother us. She's in the movie, or we're happy that she's in the movie. We're a fan of hers. She's got her supporters. She's got her detractors. Before Johnny Depp, I was never a big Amber Heard fan. And after Johnny Depp, I'm not a big Amber Heard fan. Is she in the movie? Hell yes. She's a major player in this movie. She's a major player in Act 1. She disappears for Act 2. She comes back for Act 3. And I know I'm getting close to spoilers here, but I'm trying to give you generalities. Amber Heard, if Amber Heard is going to keep you away from this movie, or if Amber Heard's the determining factor on whether you're going to see this movie or not, there you go. There's a lot of Amber Heard. It is what it is. The major negativity for me in this film is this. And I tweeted this out on my account as soon as I got out of the theater because I just couldn't help myself. The film is a 2-hour plus seminar on climate change. It's not even subtle. It is in your face from almost minute 1. It's just, that's what it is. It's climate change. It is. So if you're a climate change activist, this is your movie. This is your movie. I mean, it's not done with any intelligence. It's just hammering you over the head. Climate change, climate change, climate change, climate change. That's the huge negative. I mean, it's just beginning to end climate change. Even the post-credit scene hits you again with climate change. If you don't want to be lectured about climate change, if you don't want to hear negativity about the country you live in, whether it be the United States, India, China, and there was a line in there, and I'll get to it in the spoiler section. There was a line in there. They could have been pointing the finger at any one of those 3 countries, if not some others, where they're just making it obvious that you're killing the world. You're killing the world. And you need to understand that you are killing the world. It's heavy on the lecture. I heard audible groans from the people in the audience with me. And that's the thing. The theater had this is the 11 o'clock in the morning show, first day. So it wasn't a packed theater. There were about, I'd say 12 of us in the theater. And what surprised me is that while I was in line, I got there when the theater opened, got in line, and there were people ahead of me in line already. They were buying tickets for the later shows. And I even put a short out saying, there's people buying tickets for the later. So maybe this movie is going to have some legs for this weekend or going into this weekend. It looks like people down here, at least, are excited to see it. They might not understand what they're in for. And if they watch this video, they might change their mind, but they've already bought their tickets. So whatever. I don't know what the theaters are doing for business in the United States or anywhere else. I'm sure there's evidence out there of whether the theaters are selling out or not selling out or empty or packed or whatever. And I'm sure you can find that information. But here, it seemed like there was some interest. Not Barbie Oppenheimer interest, mind you, but interest. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to give you the warning right now. I'm going to talk about the movie very specifically, extremely specifically. This is your spoiler warning. All right? And if you don't click off now and I ruin the movie for you because you wanted to see it, your problem, your fault, not mine, don't care. So yes, Amber Heard is in the movie a lot. First act, it's all about the family. It's all about Papa Aquaman and Mama Aquawoman or Mirror or whatever you want to call her, and the little baby Junior living with Grandpa on land. And, the struggle, it was really the opening. First of all, the opening scene, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. It's Aquaman fighting a bunch of pirates on a ship that's been taken hostage. And it's like, this is really cool. And then it cuts to Aquaman just playing with his kid, showing an Aquaman action figure and a pirate kind of slamming them together. And he's just telling a story. It's cute. You know what? As a dad, I can appreciate that. I used to tell stories to my kids when they were, little babies and all that. And it's cute, the dynamic between grandpa, father, and son. It's fun for a few minutes. I could appreciate that. And then Mirror gets introduced, and there she is, and she's ubiquitous throughout the whole thing. And Aquaman's continually going back and forth. Here's where it got kind of annoying. Aquaman would do something with his child, put him to sleep, go see his father, and say, I'm going to have a beer with my dad and sit down and talk and tell him about whatever problem he's having. Then it cuts to him being king of Atlantis and the problems he's having there. And there's the council and politics. And then he cuts back. I'm going to have a beer with my dad and sit down and talk. And then he's going to cut back to another scene of him in Atlantis doing something, cage fighting, whatever it is. And then he comes back and he says, he drinks, I don't know how many Guinness. I'm sure he enjoyed filming these scenes if they were using real Guinness, but he's just pounding Guinness throughout these cutaways and cutaways and cutaways and cutaways. And it's just finally, okay, can we stick to one area? You're jumping all over the place and you're starting to kind of lose me here of what the hell you're talking about, what's going on, and what do you really want me to care about? Do you want me to care about you and your dad and the baby, or do you want me to care about your political problems being king of Atlantis? Cry me a river, you're king of Atlantis. I don't give a shit about your problems. You're friggin' king. Suck it up. You wanted to be there. Now you're going to tell me that it sucks, okay? Well, at least how I feel. Now, some people got upset when they saw the scene where the baby, Aquaman's changing the baby and the baby pees on him. Now, look, if anyone out there has been a father and you've gone to change your kid's diaper, especially if you have a son, and you take that diaper off, that cold wind hits, hey, I'm in that club too. I've been hit with some pee, okay? It happens. It's a fact of life. We deal with it. But they double and then triple down on the let's urinate on Aquaman thing. Later on, Aquaman's learned his lesson. So he takes the diaper off and he dodges. And the pee shoots over his shoulder and misses him. But there's Mira to use her water powers to make the pee magically bend and hit Aquaman straight in the face. And she giggles and he's like just being peed on. But it wasn't just enough to have a baby pee on Aquaman. Later on, he gets an octopus as a helper friend, just kind of going around with him, helping him on his missions. And at one point, the octopus looks like he spits on him, but no, Aquaman corrects us in the movie. He goes, is that urine? So now an octopus has now peed on Aquaman. So Aquaman gets peed on 3 different times. I don't know whose fantasy this was, whose fetish this was that they had to put it 3 times in the movie, but there you go. If you want to see Aquaman get peed on 3 different times by 2 different creatures, this is your movie. Well, now let's get to the big one. The climate change narrative, which is what the movie's all about. It's a movie about climate change. There's no interpretation there. Anyone who tells you, well, you could look at it this way and you can look at it, they're lying to you. It's about climate change. It's in your face, climate change. So Black Manta is looking for something in the Arctic. They cut away to his scenes and he finds it. It's the Black Trident and it's the Lost Kingdom or the Seven Kingdom or whatever. You don't know that, by the way, because they don't tell you that until almost near the end of the movie. So you're left guessing, what the hell is this all about? You're never let in on it. You're never given a clue on it. You're kind of like, okay, figure it out for yourself, even though you're not given enough information to figure it out on your own. And we'll get to that in a second. But the Black Trident, he's demonically possessed by the former king of the Black City, or the Seventh Kingdom, Kodaks. And okay, fine, here we go. We got a villain and he's going to go. But his main job in the first few months of being a villain or being this new Black Manta is to go and steal this chemical. It's under lock and key by the Atlanteans in 12 different locations. And he goes and he steals it. It's ormacromelon or whatever the frig they want to call it. Basically, this fuel, this very explosive fuel that powers up all the Black Manta's new weapons and ships that he got from the Lost Kingdom that he found under the ice in Antarctica. This fuel is literally, and you're told this by Atlantic, she gives you this information, Dub. This is greenhouse gases. No lie, it's greenhouse gas. That's what he has. That's his dangerous fuel. And he's using it to power up his weapons. He's using it to create some sort of giant furnace, which we'll get to in a second. But he's the reason that everything's warming and everything's accelerating. And then you get all the moralizing from Atlanta and from everyone else. Oh, well, you know what? It's been happening anyways. We're just speeding it up, and humans and surface dwellers, and they're ruining the planet, toxic waste in our oceans and all this. And they're killing us down here. They're killing Atlantis. We don't want to be their friends. And it's like, all right, okay, all right. Because you're given a very diverse council of, I don't know how many people, but it's a very diverse council of what appears to be mostly women lecturing Aquaman about how the surface is polluting and killing the atmosphere, their atmosphere, which is the ocean, and the world is going to come to an end, and they're just speeding it up. And you have to sit through all that. If you're going to see the movie, you got to sit through all that. You're going to see the whole movie unless you just get up and walk out of the theater, which, okay, I can see you doing that. So Aquaman, with all his armies under his control and all this weaponry and all this advanced technology has decided that, well, you know what? These 12 diverse council people don't want to listen to me, even though he's the king. I guess being king of Atlantis means that you don't get to do anything or make any decisions. You have to go through the diverse 12 council, which, okay, I guess if that's the way they want to set up the politics of Atlantis. I always thought king was king. I guess I'm wrong. Aquaman decides, well, I'm going to defy the council and I'm going to do the one thing I can do. Is it gather his armies, the other kingdoms, band them together, say, hey, we're going to go to war with Black Manta, we're going to stop this and bring everything. Nope. He decides to go it alone, except for one thing. He's going to go break out his brother Orm from the prison that he's in some desert that he's being guarded by zombified skeletons that drink blood. That's his plan. And that's what he goes and does. And it's a quick scene. It doesn't take much effort. He gets him out, gets him back to the water, and boom, Orm's back. Ocean Master. Here we go. Well, thank God, too, because at least he brings some, I don't know, charisma. I don't know. I enjoyed seeing Orm. He was Patrick Wilson did a good job with the character. They decided they're going to go look for Black Manta. And since they can't find Black Manta on their own, they're going to go to this other place. Oh, by the way, this movie jumps from kingdom to kingdom to area to place to place. It's like you are all over the undersea world and you are all over the map of the real world. I mean, it's hard to keep track of. Thank God they tell you, hey, you're here now. They actually put it in nice big yellow letters. You're here now. You're in this realm and you're on this land, or you're over here, or you're in this ocean, because otherwise you don't know where the hell you are or what the hell's going on. So the one guy that knows or can probably tell them where Black Manta is a former associate of his that you never heard of. And this is where they rip off Star Wars. It's straight up, it's a Jabba the Hutt ripoff. It actually has a musical kind of number. So you get there, it's this land of undersea pirates and whatever. And they go there and they start a fight. But when they get there, it's this giant bar scene or nightclub. I really don't know how to explain it to you. There's a singing group and they're all fish, but they're all singing. It really is. It's a bad interpretation of Jabba's palace. That's what it is. It's a bad interpretation of that. It's a bad imitation of Jabba the Hutt, because the Fish King or whatever his name is, he's Jabba. I mean, he's just Jabba. If Jabba was a fish, that's who this character is, right? That he would be this character. So it's a total straight ripoff. It's again, it's an information hunt, a MacGuffin hunt, and that's really what it is. And that's really what the plot is mostly. Go here to get this information so you can get over here and do this. And when you get over here to do this, you also have to get that. And so you can go, it's just, okay, I get it. All right, so here we go. So fake Jabba's palace or underwater Jabba's palace lasts for about 5 minutes. And it's probably 4 minutes too long for my taste. And they go to the island where Black Manta is. And of course, what's he doing in this island? It has a volcano on it. He's building a greenhouse gas furnace. Literally, there's green gas pouring out of the top of the volcano, polluting the atmosphere because he's burning all the amberheard or whatever the fuel is. And I don't care what they want to call it. We're just going to call it the greenhouse gas fuel. So he's burning that. Why? Because he wants to melt the ice caps. Why? We don't know yet. We have no idea why he's doing what he's doing. We have no clue about his motivations. We know he wants to kill Aquaman, and he wants to kill his family. He wants to kill Atlantis, but he's not doing any of that. He's burning greenhouse gases. So we're on this island now. We get off, and of course the island it's not right because it's filled with toxic greenhouse gases, and the flowers are giant and they eat things that are alive. The bugs are giant and they eat you. So everything is overgrown and dangerous, and it's Mother Nature striking back. And so Aquaman and Orm have to run through it, and they're getting chased by grasshoppers, and they're trying to get away from man-eating flowers. I'm not kidding. This is really what happens. So then they get to a place where they're kind of safe, and they're standing there, and during the banter back and forth between Aquaman and Orm, Aquaman says something about getting a cheeseburger and a beer. And Orm's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, because he's never been on land. He doesn't know what a cheeseburger is. He doesn't know what a steak is, a cheeseburger is, a taco, tequila, beer. Has no clue. French fries, no idea. And he goes, it sounds all disgusting. And Aquaman says, oh no, it's so delicious. It's great. Steak and rare steak and cheeseburgers and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I can agree with that. But then Aquaman spots something crawling on a branch, and it happens to be a cockroach about that big. And Aquaman picks it up and goes, and oh man, this is the shrimp of the land. And I'm like, No, they're not really going to go with the whole bug eating to save the climate narrative, are they? Hell yes. All in on it. He hands it to Orm and goes, no, you should try it. It's delicious. And Orm eats the cockroach, bites its head right off, smiles. This is delicious. Aquaman's like, see, I told you so. It's not a joke. It's not Aquaman playing a joke on his brother. See, I got him to eat a bug. No. They really want you to think eating cockroaches is a good idea. I don't know about you. I've seen cockroaches before. I ain't fucking eating a cockroach. I don't care what it's going to do for the climate. I ain't eating cockroaches. Oh yeah, speaking of which, it's not the only bug eating scene. Like I said, the post-credit scene is bug eating. We continue on our journey from there, and we get to the first major battle between Orm, Aquaman, and Black Manta, and it was a pretty cool scene. But, earlier on in the movie, Black Manta had attacked or had gotten into a fight with Atlantis and fought against Atlanta and Mera. And of course, Mera holds her own against Black Manta. Oh, she's kicking ass. Like I said, she's got a major role. Black Manta shoots her with the red lasers. Oh, I thought they had killed her. I'm like, okay, that's how they're getting rid of Mera. She's not going to be in Act 2 or 3. I'm thinking, they killed her. Nope, she's just wounded. And they show her wounded, and they show Aquaman kind of fawning over her as she's recovering. But you're thinking, she's not going to be in the rest of the movie. She's got burn marks up about her whole torso. She's toast, right? Nope, because during this fight with Black Manta, all the rocks start coming down because the rest of Atlantis has shown up, and they're going to destroy the island to save the climate. So we're going to destroy a natural island with real-life living things on it to save the climate. Okay, well, they blow up the mountain, they blow up the volcano, they blow up the island, whatever. Aquaman's still inside, Black Manta gets away, rocks falling down, he's in the ocean, giant rock comes down and pins Aquaman against the floor bed of the sea. Well, he's done, he's dead, he's gonna get crushed. No, it's okay, because the rock starts to float up, like someone using the force, and there it is, Mera saving Aquaman, and there's no scar, she's healthy, she's good, no problem. And she's on for the rest of the journey, because now it's the family, and they're all going together. It's not the only time Mera's going to save Aquaman, by the way. So after the bug eating and after the Mera saving Aquaman because he got his ass kicked, we move on to more exposition. We move on to, because the Black Trident, Orm has gotten a hold of the Black Trident for a second, and it showed him everything. And so the beginning of the third act is Orm telling you everything you should have known in Acts 1 and 2 to understand what the movie was going for. So Black Manta was trying to melt the ice caps so then he could use missiles to blow up the ice to get to the rest of the Lost Kingdom to revive them and Kodaks. I'm really not really, again, if you're me, I would just say if you want to blow up the ice, just use a bigger missile. Why you got to melt it first? Just use a bigger missile. That's it. Shoot it. I mean, you got all the technology in the world. You want to fire a missile at some ice? Fire some missiles at some ice. But they had to include the whole climate change because they needed to talk about climate change. So again, things don't make sense. I get it. This movie didn't make any sense. So it turns out through all the exposition you get at the beginning of Act 3 to understand the last half hour of the movie and to understand what you just watched in the first hour and a half. And by that time, you just don't care. You're just like, really? Are we just rewriting the movie? And that's what it is. You have to think to yourself, they were rewriting the movie as they went. And that's what this is all about. You learn that Black Manta needs the blood of the lineage of the king of Atlantis to free Kodak. Okay, fine. Needs the blood. And we get told it's DNA. Atlanta is there to tell us and correct us. Atlanta is there to say, oh, no, it's DNA. That's what he needs. So, and they make the mistake of going, okay, well, Orm and Atlanta and Aquaman, those are the only, those are the only three. But they forgot, well, they got the baby, which they abandoned at home with Grandpa as they went on their adventures. Well, Black Manta shows up, stabs Grandpa in the stomach, and says to him, I'm going to leave you alive so Aquaman can watch you die. So at that point, he's not going to die. No one dies. By the way, if you're waiting for me to tell you who died, Black Manta, you don't even know if he dies, right? You're just supposed to think that maybe he died, but no one dies. There's no consequences in this film. So then Black Manta steals the baby. And now everybody in some test screenings months ago, there was this rumor. Let me put this to rest. They don't kill a baby in this movie. Warner Brothers is not stupid enough to kill a baby in a major motion picture like this that's supposed to be made for children. It's just not going to happen. So if you believed those leaks back then, you're a fool. You're a fool to think that Warner Brothers was going to actually allow a baby, not a toddler, not a child, a baby, to be slaughtered on film during a big release during Christmas time, again, you're a fool. So that doesn't happen. Does it come close? Do they want you to think it's going to happen? That Black Manta's that evil? Yes, of course. He's got the baby. He's got it on the altar. He's right about to do it. Nope. Boom. Here comes Aquaman. Save his son. Great. So then we get the big fight, and of course, Aquaman's in trouble. Who's there to save the day? Mera. Mera comes in, saves his ass. Black Manta goes down. Mera grabs the baby, starts running, and then it's Orm being taken over by the Black Trident. Aquaman and Orm have a hug it out moment, and Orm relents, and Aquaman goes and through a series of unfortunate or coincidences or whatever plot devices, it's just stupid. You get Kodak back for about 5 seconds, and then he's gone. That's it. And then Black Manta falls down a hole. You don't know if he dies or not, but everybody's alive. Everybody goes on. They live a happy life. And DCU is coming to an end. You're thinking, okay, well, this movie's going to end. They're all floating on an iceberg, kind of like, yay, congratulations, yay. And they say to Orm, you're not going to go back to prison. Just lay low for a while. Go live in secret, and we'll get back to you when we can. Fine. He goes off. But no. The film does not end there. All of a sudden, more news breaking, more news flashes, and all this. Atlantis has made itself known to the world, and they're in New York Harbor, and here comes the giant Atlantean submarine out, and everybody's there, and Aquaman's going to talk to the United Nations, and he gets up and steps up and gives this whole climate change speech. I mean, it's a climate change speech. Like, did Leonardo DiCaprio or Al Gore write this part of the movie? Because that's exactly what it sounds like. And at the end of it, he screams something. By the way, there's 2 knocks at Marvel in this film, and I'll get to that in a second. At the end of it, he screams, "I am Aquaman." And of course, that's knock number 1. I don't know whether they're making fun of Marvel or just having some fun with Marvel. Instead of "I am Aquaman," "I am Iron Man." Of course, earlier on in the film, Aquaman calls his brother Loki. Okay. There's even a Harry Potter reference to Azkaban. Okay. By the way, no other cameos. Like Batman, no. Wonder Woman, no. There's no cameos. There's nothing. So after the "I am Aquaman," he goes, "Woohoo!" and then runs off screen, and that's the end of the movie. That's 2 hours of my life. And it was just excruciating to sit through and listen to and be lectured to. And then you get to the post-credit scene. I told you there'd be one more bug eating. So there we cut to Orm. We cut to Orm, and he's sitting at an outside cafe, a restaurant. He's ordered a cheeseburger for the first time in his life. He takes it, he bites into it. This is delicious, right? You can see the look on his face. Like, oh, this is good, right? But then the camera pans down a little bit, and there's a giant cockroach crawling across his table. And he grabs the cockroach, shoves it in his burger, takes another bite, and he smiles. This is, as if this makes the burger so much better. And that's it. And I waited throughout all the credits. There's no other post-credit scene. That's it. DCU over. And thank God, because if this is the type of movie that they're going to put out, thank God it's over. Thank God. I'm tired of going to theaters and being lectured to. I'm tired of going to theaters. Listen, I'm an educated man. I hold multiple degrees. I know I look crazy because I wear a mask, but that's just too damn bad. I understand climate change. I've actually studied it in university. So I understand what climate change is. I understand what climate adaptation is. I understand what climate science is. I understand what climate history is. I've lived in climate danger zones for parts of my life. Listen, the climate change debate is not as black and white as you think, and certainly not as black and white as you think this is. And certainly, you know what? I forgot, yes, this isn't anti-US, China, India. I don't know. You got to pick your country. The line that Atlanta speaks is that the Seventh Kingdom discovered this greenhouse gas and used it to become powerful and used it to become a superpower, even though they were killing the rest of the world. I take that as a direct knock on the United States. I mean, all the United States did during the Industrial and after the Industrial Revolution was win World War I, win World War II, save the world from fascism, keep the world safe, send out market economy, capitalism, democracy as much as it could. Was it perfect? Did we make mistakes? Did we do some bad things? Yes. But let's not crap all over the history of the United States in the 20th century just to make a belittling point that is, 1, ill-informed, 2, way biased, and 3, kind of childish when you kind of think of it. I don't want to go to a movie theater, and this is just me. There's probably some people out there that will enjoy that. They'll enjoy that you're tearing down the U.S. They'll enjoy that you're making a movie about climate change and activism and trying to tell us how stupid we all are. There are people out there who are going to enjoy this movie because of that stuff. I'm not one of them. I don't go to a film to see that kind of stuff. And I'll give you an example. I went and saw Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer was great. And Oppenheimer had a lesson about nuclear war and nuclear weapons and destroying the world and the morality of it all. But guess what? It didn't do it by shoving it down our throat or thinking that we're stupid or treating us like we're stupid. It showed us what we needed to know. It let us get to the conclusion we needed to get to on our own because it believed in our intelligence. Movies like Aquaman 2 do not believe you're an intelligent person. Aquaman 2 does not believe that you're a person that can think on their own, come to their own conclusions in a logical way, and be reasonable. And if you disagree with them, you're just someone who just isn't smart enough to really hang on their level. So is Aquaman a great film? Hell no. Don't waste your money. The people I was with asked me, hey, how would you rate this out of a 10? I put it maybe a 2, maybe a 3, because their message takes me out of the movie. It insults me. It treats me like garbage. Guess what? That's not why I go to a movie theater. If I want that kind of information, I'll go take a class at Harvard and I'll enroll in their climate science division and I'll get lectured every friggin' day of my life about how evil the world is and how climate change is ruining the world. Again, I'm not saying you're right or wrong when it comes to climate change. I'm just saying it's not the reason I go to a movie. So with that, that's my review. Thank God I'm back home so I can put on something or listen to some music or watch a video or do something that makes me entertained, that gives me some joy in the holiday season. So with that, if I don't see you again, if I don't post again, hopefully I do, but if I don't, I want to wish you all a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, whatever day or holiday you're celebrating. Have a blast, have fun, enjoy yourselves because you deserve it, you've earned it. And contrary to Hollywood's opinion, we're all good people and we all deserve some understanding and some love. And with that, from south of the border, I'm still your reluctant gringo. Salud, and I'll wave.